everyone, it's Tuesday and you're watching Within the Frame. I'm Kim Bo-kyung. Ever since the Palestinian militant group Hamas attack on October 7th, tensions in the Middle East have been escalating. In response to Hamas attacks that killed more than 1,400 people in Israel, Tel Aviv has been continuing its week-long aerial bombardment campaign of the Gaza Strip. Worldwide efforts are being taken, including U.S. President Joe Biden's scheduled visit to Israel soon. But the impact of such a war is already affecting the globe. The planned summit between President Yoon and UAE counterpart has already been delayed, and authorities are bracing for a surge in oil prices, which should affect the Korean economy. We first invite Doctor Paik Seunghoon, a researcher at the Institute for Middle Eastern Studies from Hankuk University of Foreign Studies, to ask about impact on diplomacy. Dr. Paik, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being with us, Doctor. Now, first question. The Israel-Hamas conflict has amplified the ominous North Korean presence on the Korean peninsula. A Joint Chiefs of Staff official even assessed that Hamas is believed to be directly or indirectly linked to North Korea in various areas. What do you think of this view?
I believe the relation with Hamas and North Korea, direct relations are kind of like too far-fetched, because yes, the reason why Hamas is using North Korean weaponry system is because North Korea has a close tie with Syria and also a ILGC, which is Iranian government, Iranian Revolution Corps. So there are possibility that North Korean weapon system and weapon might spill into a Hamas through that channel. But currently, there's small evidence that there are direct channel or direct relation with North Korea and Hamas are less likely.
All right, I see. So direct relationship between North Korea and Hamas could be considered too far-fetched. Now, Dr. Paik, what we are concerned about the most is the possibility that North Korea could use Hamas's attack methods for a surprise attack on South Korea. What are the chances of this?
I mean, it is so obvious, because if there are a warfare happens between the agent that has discrepancies on their military capability, there's always possibility that this asymmetry warfare could happen, like guerrilla warfare, proxy warfare, using drone or using the chemical weapons and all that. Using unconventional weapon system could be always possible for the asymmetry warfare. And we all know that North Korea and South Korea has significant asymmetry of power in terms of ammunition and military weaponry system, etc., etc. So yes, after witnessing how Hamas efficiently maneuver the Iron Dome, the mid-range missile defense system, and how they use this unconventional strategy to what do we call, overcome this security forces of IDF, really affect on North Korea by seeing, even though there's a symmetry of military the capability, they could successfully strike at the South Korea. Although they have what do we call, the more strong military capability. So of course, North Korean government or military will gonna thoroughly see how this surprise attack was successfully carried out by the Hamas. So yes, there is always a possibility of this strategies for asymmetry warfare. Yes.
All right, I see. So to sum up, there's also always possibility for North Korea to use unconventional attack methods like Hamas. I see. Now, Dr. Paik, meanwhile, the president of the United Arab Emirates postponed his visit to South Korea amid rising conflict in the region. And the presidential office said the UAE's investment commitments of $30 billion would not be affected. What are the details of this?
Yes, 3 days ago, on the 14th of October, both countries have successfully concluded the negotiation for a Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. I mean, this achievement was reached in just 2 years and 6 months since the negotiation began in April 2021. Notably, the United States, Japan, and European Union have not yet concluded the FTAs or SEPA agreement with the UAE, so which is expected to us that it significantly enhance our competitiveness of export. So under this South Korea-UAE SEPA, both countries will open their market to a high degree. And more than 90% of our products, the tariff of our 90% of products will gonna lessen our tariff within 10 years. And we're gonna have no tax between these two country products. And for South Korean side, because South Korea imports about $9.2 billion worth of crude oil annually from UAE, the elimination of 3% tariff can contribute to stabilizing supply chain. But also, since we import crude oil and refine the crude oil to resell in various form of other chemical, it will give us our product price competitiveness in global market. So that's the thing that we should look in. And particularly significant is in the inclusion of supplementary agreement related to energy and resource cooperation, which had previously been excluded from SEPA agreement that the U.S. concluded with any other country. So this is expected to accelerate our cooperation in renewable energy, hydrogen, and carbon capture and utilization and storage, well known as a cost CCUS, which is one of the main agenda within the era of carbon neutrality.
I see. So there was definitely significant development between the ties between South Korea and UAE. But Dr. Paik, though PO said, the presidential office said the latest pledge about the investment is unaffected, there are still some reports say President Yoon's sales diplomacy inevitably had to face some obstacles, given that the U.S. president was set to attend defense trade show ADEX and also specify certain cooperative efforts in the energy and defense sectors. What impact do you expect this war to have on President Yoon's sales diplomacy overall regarding this region?
So you mean the current war and what will be the impact on our sales? I wish I would be, but I'm not a wizard with a crystal ball, so I don't know how this the conflict and the Israel and Hamas warfare will going to lead. But what I could say is that these Israel-Hamas war are the impact of Israel-Hamas will, I think, in current situation is quite limited because United States are doing their best to restrain this Israel-Hamas conflict as a limited war. That's why Blinken has reached out for Wang Yi, and they have sent their aircraft carrier in Mediterranean Sea to control and manage this warfare. And as an expert and the entrepreneur in the field are kind of a bit worried because they have witnessed what Ukraine and Russia warfare had led to the global market and etc. But the problem is the reality is this. I mean, the Gaza Palestinian, they are all caught up from global value chain. So the impact of Gaza to global market is limited. And also for Israel cases, I know Israel only has 9 million population there, so their market is not a big market. But yeah, they do have some kind of technology, so the war might have an influential on the niche market. But in the global wise, the impact of this warfare won't be that massive. So the global market of financial market, interest rate, unemployment rate, and oil prices are there's no significant change because of the after the warfare. So the market already kind of reacted to what is happening, and they through the process. So I don't think it's, for example, Ukraine was the what we call the field was one of the country that produced a lot of crops, and the Russia is a energy country who export natural gas and oil. So compared to that of the Ukraine and Russian war, this Hamas-Israel warfare has less limited impact in global, market. So I don't think there will be an obstacle, but I don't believe it will be massive on like preventing the Yoon's administration, the diplomacy of Middle East on sales diplomacy on the Middle East.
All right, I see. So it could have impact, but it will be quite limited. I see. Now, Dr. Paik, we are already witnessing two major wars, the war in Ukraine involving Russia and the Israel-Hamas conflict. Now, how should South Korea position itself in dealing with these conflicts?
I think I have to say, since it's, I think, I know it sounds very dull and insignificant, but what we could do is now is just play our role in international community. So we're going to support Israel for condemning Hamas for their ill behavior, but also we have to support the people of Palestinians. So since there will be a lot of refugees created by this warfare, so we have to be very supportive on aiding the Palestinian refugee, but also stand aside with Israel on condemning Hamas. I think that is what we could do in this moment. And yes, I think that is the diplomatic, the stance that we could take on this moment.
All right, I see. We need to play our own role. Now, Dr. Paik, before I let you go, I'd like to ask you several issues regarding this conflict. So Saudi Arabia and Israel tried to normalize ties, but as the conflict between Israel and Palestinian militant group Hamas escalated, these plans have apparently been put on ice. And some say intention behind Hamas's attacks is related to this as well. How do you see this?
Yes. Yes, I mean, it's very, we have to go back to a little bit of history to understand all this, like diplomatic, the diplomatic behavior. But let's phrase this. I mean, the Israel-Palestine peace process has a basic principle, which is two-state solution. So that's what international communities have kind of like searched for. But after Trump administration came into power, this principle has changed, which that sums up with the Abraham Accord. So two-state solution is that if Israel return back the Palestinian, the land that they took over after the Arab-Israeli war, then Palestinian and Arab were going to give back the peace to the Israel. But after Trump administration came, the land for peace principle has changed to peace for peace principle, which means, yes, let's forget about the land. I mean, it's very difficult because all the players doesn't want to return this land, and we don't know how to do it. So let's just first build a peace through economic cooperation joint. And if the economic cooperation happens, then we're going to build upon peace through that. But this kind of really hardly kind of give a what we call the threat to the Hamas and other Palestinian agents, because it means, oh, we might have lost our chance to retry back our land, because the United States and other countries are doing a different method to build a so-called peace process. And Saudi Arabia was kind of the first rejected this, saying that we will stick to the land for peace, not the peace for peace process. But because the arduous work of Biden, Saudi Arabia was tilting toward to accept and become a part of Abraham Accord. But this Hamas, the attack and this Israel-Hamas warfare kind of bring a halt to this process. So yes, like what you said, it is the ice on the diplomatic process, but in the perspective of a United States. But for Saudi Arabia, the country who always been supportive on two-state solution, it kind of give a more favorable condition for Saudi Arabia to play their game. So in this situation, Saudi Arabia will wait and see, and to see, okay, now in this situation, I cannot go and participate at Abraham Accords. But Saudi Arabia will going to wait to see what Biden can bring to them. And if they see it is much beneficial, then they'll go a little bit further to be part of the Abraham Accord. So it kind of, in Saudi Arabian perspective, it's bringing more favorable environment for them to choose between whether they're going to join the Abraham Accord or they're going to just wait and see and make some more leverage on to see what United States could give them for in the trade-off of like participating that Abraham Accord.
All right, I see. It's quite interesting to hear from the Saudi Arabia's point of view. Now, that's all the questions we have for you for now. Thank you, Dr. Paik, for your insights on how this conflict in the Middle East region might affect Seoul's diplomatic efforts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, as we have said earlier, diplomacy is not the only area South Korea needs to consider. It is highly likely this war is going to have much more impact on the economy. And thus, we invite Professor Kim Se-won from Ewha Women's University to discuss this. Welcome, Professor Kim.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being with us. Now, Professor, first of all, there are Korean companies located close to the conflict, and they're worried about the potential business fallout. And not just those there, but also businesses that mainly export to the Middle East region are concerned about the war escalation. How serious are such issues?
Korean companies doing businesses in Israel region are closely monitoring the Israel-Hamas conflicts as deadly clashes go on in the country. Until now, fortunately, no serious damage to Korean businesses has been reported yet. But if the situation gets worse, Korean staff are ready to be evacuated. The two representative Korean corporations, Samsung Electronics and Hyundai Motor, have larger businesses in Israel. And Israel is an important sales management hub that distributes their products to Middle East regions. Samsung Electronics runs 2 research centers and a sales corporation in Israel. It says 100% of its local employees have been switched to remote work for the sake of their safety. Hyundai Motor and its sister company, Kia Motor, are also deeply involved in Israel's auto market as the best and second best selling car brands there. No damage of cars exported from Korea has been reported yet at the dealership. Other Korean corporations like LG Electronics are also converting to telecommuting in Israel.
I see. It's quite nice to hear that there wasn't major damage reported up until now, and I hope that continues. Now, Professor Kim, there are also growing concerns over the need to manage the supply chain for specific materials. South Korea is highly dependent on Israel. What kind of supply disruptions might we have to face, and is there a way to tackle this?
Regarding timely supply of parts and natural resources, the number one concern goes to crude oil. Korean economy relies on the Middle East for nearly 70% of its oil supply. So along with Japan, this is one of the largest dependency on Middle East oil. So far, the war in Israel gets, as the war in Israel gets longer, one of the largest victims could be Korean economy. The Strait of Hormuz, a major route transporting oil and gas to Korea, has remained intact despite the recent clashes. But the geopolitical situation can got worse anytime in the Strait of Hormuz if Iran decide to get involved in Israel war. In addition, Korean export and imports from Eurozone take a route of Suez Canal. So if Suez Canal region is seized by military action, the supply channel with Eurozone will get stuck, as we have seen in a stranded cargo ship caused maritime traffic chaos in the Suez Canal a year ago. Korean government and industry make an all-out effort to prevent the Israel-Hamas conflicts from affecting Korean supply route.
I see. So the biggest worry is about crude oil. Now, Professor, what's more concerning is that this rise in oil prices could also worsen inflation, right? To what extent would this affect inflation in South Korea?
The international oil price was rising seriously even before the Israel war. So this war can accelerate the rise of oil price in international market. As we talked about, there is no serious impact on oil productions and deliveries from Israel war yet. But the situation is very much fragile depending on other Middle East countries' actions on the war. Most of the market analysts point out that Iran's possible intervention in the war can change both of oil production and safety of major transporting routes like the Strait of Hormuz. According to Bloomberg's recent survey, without Iran's intervention, international oil price is expected to rise less than $5 per barrel. But as the worst scenario, if Iran takes part in the war, oil price will be skyrocketed above $130 per barrel. So to summarize, the Israel war itself gives a stronger pressure on Korean inflation by raising oil price.
I see. So the rise in oil prices would mainly depend on Iran's participation in the war, I guess. Now, Professor Kim, shifting gears a little bit here, volatility in the foreign exchange market also needs to be monitored. As cash flow over to the safe haven dollar, there are worries that this conflict will affect the $1 exchange rate and make the won depreciation more serious. How do you see this? And if volatility does get high, how should South Korean authorities tackle this?
Basically, foreign exchange market has uncertainty. So when uncertainty goes up, there goes stronger dollars, demands for dollars, which is a safe asset. And one of the most uncertain phenomena would be the war. Foreign exchange market is already hit seriously by Ukraine war. And we have additional impact that increases the value of US dollar from the war in Israel. And given US Fed's 5.5% base rate, Bank of Korea is not likely to raise its key interest rate above 3.5%. Therefore, stronger dollar or higher $1 exchange rate will be continued as wars in both Ukraine and Israel go on. And interest rate gap between US and Korea is not likely to decrease. For Korean government and Bank of Korea, the only solution of stabilizing exchange rate would be raising domestic interest rate. But thanks to declining domestic economy, it would be very difficult to hike the base interest rate this time.
Right, I see. So I believe there will be high chances that BOK is going to freeze the rate for the upcoming rate-setting meeting on Thursday. Now, Professor Kim, I believe this will be our last question. What also matters is possible market turbulence. Many are worrying about capital flows in stocks. How do you see the market?
As we talked about, the war in Israel is an important additional risk factor to global financial market. And in global market standards, Korean stock market is still, part of emerging market, which is relatively riskier place to invest. Recently, a market consensus that Korea is becoming less attractive to foreign investors is rising. The uptrend $1 exchange rate, driven by concerns over a sustained high interest rate in the United States, appears to have negative impact foreign investor sentiment. This has been further exacerbated by ongoing conflicts between Israel and Hamas, leading them to gravitate towards safe haven assets. Foreign investors posted a net outflow of more than $1.4 billion in Korea's securities market in September. And September marked the second consecutive month of net outflow of foreign investors.
All right, I see, Professor Kim. Well, that are all the questions I have. Thank you, Professor Kim, for your time and insights. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, that's all for Within the Frame tonight. We'll be back tomorrow with more in-depth stories. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.